Hi, lovelies. It's been a minute, hasn't it? I hope you've all had a wonderful holiday or whatever it is you celebrate, or even if you don't celebrate anything at all, I just hope you've had a good day. I've been terribly busy, but I believe you have some questions for me. So, our first question is already pretty loaded. There's about 4 in here, so I'll do my best. My favorite movie is Before I Go to Sleep. I just so enjoy watching the way Nicole Kidman just portrays this woman as she fights to understand her circumstances and ultimately escape them. I find it fascinating. I've always loved Fiona Apple and Nora Jones, but I've been getting into Eliza Rickman pretty recently, actually. She has a bit of a darker tone that I do so adore. And things that make me happy? Well, there's a lot of things, but if I had to take it down to just 3, I'd say music. Music's been a pretty constant thing in my life. Writing. I would think that one's pretty obvious. I write most of my own scripts. And honestly, this community, I know, it's so cliche, but having all of you here getting to interact with you when I can is just, it's so much fun, and you all are just so cute. I can't get enough of you. And of course, there's more Dommy Mommy audios coming. This is going to be essentially, I guess, you'd call her our main character. So even if the series itself, like I suppose the storyline, would come to an end, there'd still be little scenarios because I suppose Dommy Mommy, as we've taken to calling her me, V, that's me. And that's essentially who I am, and that's not going away anytime soon, so there will be more. And I am recording this during the day, so I will have a good day, and you too, love. Hugs right back at you. We can be friendly. I always want to make sure that I'm not promising something I can't give. Yes, I can adore you online, and you can adore me, and it's very sweet, but I don't want to encourage anything too insanely parasocial, you know? I want you all to be happy and healthy and take care of yourselves and manage realistic expectations, you know? But I adore you regardless. And why does it take me so long to make videos? Well, there's a few reasons. If it's not a fill, I do have to take the time to write the script, make sure I'm being true to the story that I've created. And then I have to find time to record the thing, and I have gotten an IRL job recently that does take up a lot more of my time, so that does play a factor. And then I edit everything myself, so you know. So because I do everything myself, it does take me a bit longer because of that, but I kind of prefer it my way. I enjoy having as much control as possible. But I think you already knew that, didn't you, kid? And the last part of this asks if I can make a Discord channel. Now, I have gone over this a little bit. There's a reason why I won't be doing that. You are free to make your own and create your own little community outside the community. I suppose you could think of it that way. But I prefer to have that boundary where I can choose when I want to be online and living in this little YouTube space, this little persona, and then being able to just turn off my computer and live my day-to-day. I hope you understand. It's a necessary boundary that I need for myself. But again, feel free to make your own if you'd like. Ooh, 7 questions in and you're already proposing to me. I mean, in both of the main series, don't we already ask you to marry us anyway? I mean, you know Yandere V already wants to marry you, don't you? But I suppose on to the, as you phrased it, real question. Now, I've thought about this, actually. The thing is, that one's a little bit, it's a tough territory for me. The nature of student-teacher relationships is, 1, highly illegal, and 2, something that makes me a little uncomfortable personally in terms of, like, the clear power imbalance, but I suppose it's why a lot of people like it. If I were to do something like that, it wouldn't necessarily be teacher-student, just because that's territory that I really don't want to touch. If anything, it'd probably be maybe if we're going to maintain the idea that I'd be a professor, you would likely have to be a colleague of mine rather than one of my students. I think that would be the safest way to do that, because safe, sane, consensual is always very important to me, even in my more intense audio. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely let me know, because there's gotta be something after the Yandere series, so I'm always open to some ideas. Also, I do so appreciate you waiting for me. I know I haven't been uploading as often as I used to. I've been so busy, but I do miss you all very much. Well, we'll start with the zodiac because that's a shorter answer. I am a Virgo. As far as what made me start making audios, I just wasn't really seeing any lesbian specific audios, at least not too many, specifically in my, I suppose you'd call it a niche, and in the spirit of wanting to create more representation, giving that sort of safe space, especially to those who maybe are in environments where they have to hide who they are. And if you are in that place, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have to do that. I just wanted to make something that would satisfy all those needs, and also for a little more selfish reasons. I like caring for my good girls, but I cannot commit to a relationship, so this is just easier. Oh, we got a 5 in 1 here. Hello, January. I see you on my Twitter fairly often. Hi. My favorite genre of music is dark cabaret. My favorite pastry is a cheese Danish. And as far as what I love to do on a rainy day, this is going to sound terribly cliche, but I love going down to a cafe and just writing while the world goes by outside. Just hearing the cars drive off as the rain falls and wet tires on the pavement. Hearing the bustle of people all around me, the shake of rain flecking off their coats as they're stepping inside. It's nice. I just love the ambiance. I'm very big on ambiance, and it just feels so cozy. I do play piano in real life, yes. That was me playing All I Ask of You in that one audio, actually. It was a pain to record that, though, because I don't have an instrument mic. And the best part about cuddling with someone? Well, I'm very much a cuddler, so it's hard to pick just one thing, but if I had to, it'd have to be that moment when she falls asleep on your chest and you can just feel her breath against your neck. And you look down and you just see your entire world lying right in front of you. Sorry, I'm getting sentimental. On a less sentimental note, this lovely little thing wants me to do a British accent. I will not. Oh, and now we're getting along the veins of the questions that I was expecting. Well, that one feels a little unfair, don't you think? There's so many kinds. I suppose if we're going with the bare minimum, submissives. But I think that one's a given. I do so enjoy it when they're soft and shy, because then I can ruin them later. And do I like redheads? I mean, yeah. Red hair is very attractive, actually. The last woman I was involved with had red hair, so I think that should answer your question. In terms of writing the script, I suppose it depends on the content. Emotionally draining ones or things with triggering information take a bit longer because I have to be in a certain headspace to write them. Whereas fun little cuddle fills take a little less. And then of course if I'm just filling a script in general, that takes out my job for me. In terms of struggles, I would say just maintaining true to the character that I've created. Making sure that I'm balancing fantasy and reality, because yes, these are scenarios, but I like including at least a touch of realism in the sense that I guess the best way to explain this would be why my take on a yandere isn't as violent toward the listener as others that I've heard, because to me it just doesn't make sense. Why would I ever want to physically harm someone that I say I love so much? Why would I want to make her cry like that? Out of this non-consensual pain. Why would I want that? It doesn't make sense to me. So I guess maintaining realism in that sense and making sure that I'm staying true to that. And now I'm getting rambly, so we're gonna move on to the next bit. My inspirations are minimal, considering that these, I guess you'd call them characters, are pretty close to who I am anyway. But if you know the TV show You, that's a massive inspiration, specifically the character. Love Quinn. I adore her. Victoria does a fantastic job portraying her. Stephen King's Misery is another one. If Annie was a little less dowdy and a little sexier, I guess. The novel, to be fair, the film is alright, but I prefer the book. And then my last inspiration is actually another roleplay creator. Her name is Mikey's Voice here on YouTube. I absolutely adore her. I don't even know if she knows I exist, but she's one of my favorites, and she's definitely been a huge inspiration. But it's less so in the writing department and more so like figuring out how to set up thumbnails and tagging and things like that. I learned a lot from just referencing her videos. So. This next one actually has a question I've answered before. What makes me happy? I've talked about that a little bit. And this personality one, I think I've also discussed a bit, but I'll answer it here anyway. My personality and the content I make are not too far off. I suppose the main difference would be I haven't murdered anyone. But I can be very, very possessive. I do not share. So what you see is essentially pretty close to what you get. This next one asks about any bloopers I have, and the short answer is yes, I do, and no, I won't post them. The longer answer is mostly their cough, sneeze, normal bodily functions that happen sometimes, because, I am human. Or, cars passing by my window. Sometimes it's a very busy day, and I have to sit and listen to the garbage truck come by. It just depends on when I'm recording. Nothing really interesting, honestly. I don't really flub lines too much, so I just don't think there'd be enough content to actually make it worth a video. In terms of a face reveal, I am not doing a face reveal. It's part of me being private. I like having the boundary. I like controlling when people have access to me, and if I did a face reveal, I would lose that aspect of privacy. In terms of state and country, I am in the United States, and that is all you need to know, my dear. Now, I will say, I suppose music and writing count as hobbies. This channel essentially counts as a hobby because it is not my main source of income. Otherwise, I would be uploading a lot more often because I'd have the time. But I feel like I think you want something outside of that, I suppose, outside of what you see here. I'd say reading and video games. The first one, not surprising. The second one might surprise some of you. I do very much enjoy gaming. It's very relaxing. Gives me a break from my day-to-day. And there's actually a question about the video games I enjoy coming up later, so stay tuned for that. This next one congratulates me on 15K, and as of recording this, we are about to hit 17. My goodness, there's so many of you. Where did you all come from? Thank you so much. And I know I've been reading some of these off of YouTube, even though I said I keep it to Twitter, but these are just the ones that I saw before I decided to just restrict it to Twitter specifically. So if you asked something on YouTube and I didn't get to it, I'm sorry. But anyway, pretty basic. I liked Kim Possible a lot growing up. Maybe enjoyed Shigo a little too much. Can you imagine little V? Little baby gay? Some of you are baby gays. It would have to be my first Yandere V video because I just enjoy exploring that psyche. And that's kind of what started everything off for me, just creating the foundations of this character. It's fun. It takes quite a while. I would say at least a week. Of course I do. They're my type. Of course I enjoy submissive women. I'm very much doing alright. A little overwhelmed with how busy I've been lately, but doing alright. I hope you're doing well too. Being a part of the ASMR community isn't necessarily stressful because I don't really consider myself part of it. I make my content. I interact when I can with Twitter and YouTube, although I got so overwhelmed I kind of took a break from responding to YouTube comments. But other than that, I don't really interact with the community itself outside of my own, so it's hard to be stressed out when I'm not really in it. I've never even spoken to another ASMR artist. The most talking I've done to other content creators is the artists that I commission, and they do such a good job. My favorite color is lavender. Basic, I know. My favorite drink is a matcha latte. It's not too sweet, and it's actually meant to be quite good for you. And my ideal date setting is a cafe. I just enjoy them in general. They're so versatile, and I have a few cafes that I love to frequent, and maybe someday I'll bring a girl that I trust to one of them. They're where I go to retreat and relax and forget about things. It's kind of like my safe space. So I'd want to bring someone I love there. And my must-have items, well, I keep it simple. Just tea and a pair of earbuds. Tea helps me relax, and earbuds, I can just pop them in and start daydreaming while I'm walking around. I'd have to say the first time I ever started playing the piano, I was out at a department store with my parents and they were doing their own thing, and I wandered off. And I saw this piano, this little electric piano just plugged into the wall, and I just started playing around with it. And I remember being so content. I probably wasn't making much music, but I was just getting lost in my own little world. It was so much fun. If we're talking physically, you can thank the wonderful Lunami art studio. I hope I'm saying that right. They drew this model for me. I might update it at some point. I'm very much thinking about it, just to change up the outfit a little bit. We'll see. If we're talking about my voice, genetics, sweetheart. This one's more of a special request than a question, but sure, Sophie, I can oblige. You want me to call you my puppy girl, baby? My good little puppy? You are my puppy girl, aren't you? You're the only one that asked for something like this. I'm surprised. When you followed it up with something wholesome. Yes, I do like that cat. I adore tuxedo cats. They're so cute. I also find it very funny that my puppy girl is showing me pictures of kittens. Oh, puppy. You're so sweet. Oh, this next one asks if I have a cat. And I'm glad I help you sleep, honey. I myself have terrible insomnia, so I don't really have the luxury. But I'm glad that I help you. I do not have any pets, actually. I would like to, but I don't. And besides, what do I need pets for when I have so many needy kittens for me already? I'd also just like to thank Flair here for compiling some YouTube questions for me. I did see them, but it's very sweet of you to do that, and I just want to show that off a little. Thank you, sweet girl. I see you, bad thinking diary. I've been reading that webtoon, actually. I do so enjoy it. It's very good. And honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of just enjoying the ride, you know? Just seeing what happens. Just trying to have a good time while I'm doing it. So, unfortunately, I don't have a solid answer. I'm just having fun. Here's our video game question. I do love video games. My favorite is the Elder Scrolls series, Skyrim specifically. I started off with Skyrim actually, then went back and played the other ones. I just like exploring open worlds, and the whole medieval aesthetic has always been very pleasing to me. That, and I do enjoy using the magic in that game. It's satisfying, especially when you get the little cutscenes. I think they look so cool. Also, thank you, lovely. I'm glad you enjoy my voice. This next one talks about the art tag, actually, which is still up, by the way. If any of you would like to draw anything, I do try to retweet those when I see them. I do very much appreciate art. Artists are so important. Like, even this background behind me right now, I bought off of Etsy because it looked so gorgeous. I can't remember the artist's name off the top of my head, but I'll likely have it linked down below. But artists are so important. Why wouldn't I appreciate them? And I'm glad to see that you're an artist as well, sweet girl. I haven't gotten too many pieces commissioned, but I work the most with, again, Lunami Art Studio. Their commissions are currently open right now, and I'll have the link down below. And my Lady Domitresque piece was made by a lovely creator named Elysia. I'm hoping I'm saying that right. I'm sorry if I'm not. Also known as Anamiko on Twitter. Their commissions are also open, and I'll have them linked down below. But definitely support your artists. They do such good work. And again, I'm thinking about having this model potentially updated in the future, so I probably will be bothering Lunami again. Now, as far as me drawing, I do not draw well. I've doodled from time to time, and I used to be really into drawing digitally, but I don't really actively draw too much. In terms of future series, I'm going to be focusing on the ones that I have to at least finish them out, like the Yandere one. I definitely want to finish before I start something new. But in terms of having ideas, I have a few that I'm playing with, but I'm open to community suggestions as long as it isn't anything too raunchy, I suppose. Remember, we have to be able to post these on YouTube. That's why I saw a question about me, I suppose, catching the listener pleasuring themselves. Let's just say I can't upload that here, so that's gonna be a no. But in terms of community ideas, I'd be open to that. And I appreciate that you find my work engaging and creative. That means a lot. I did not study writing. I've just been writing ever since I was little. I have written a book though. I just haven't edited it yet, but I wrote it more as something that I wanted to see if I could do, so I don't know if I'll ever publish it. And this next one asks about the background about the Yandere series. Honestly, I'm surprised that I didn't get a question like this sooner. It is very much, and they were classmates, but more in the sense of you are a college student and she is the teacher's aide. Because having you both be classmates would make it a little too accessible, too easy, you know? I know I've dug into this a little bit already, but the psyche, just playing with that idea of obsessive love, what drives someone to do certain things, and figuring out how to portray that in a way that would honestly make sense, where this could potentially be somebody that you could know in real life, whereas others go in more of a caricature direction. I've never been fond of those. That's fine if other people enjoy them, but I wanted to go for something a little more real. and less of a caricature. I have been in a few relationships. I'm not currently in one, very much single because I can't really commit to anybody at the moment. I'm not in a place where I think it'd be fair for me to attempt to pursue that. Honestly, the last relationship I was in was very emotionally damaging, so I'm not ready to hop back into that just yet. And in terms of my type, we've had a similar question to this one before, but I feel like in theory everyone has a type, but then they fall in love with someone. My type is a little hard to describe, I suppose, because I'm not the sort of person who's just like, oh, I like tall girls, oh, I like skinny girls. I'm more of a personality person, if that makes sense. I tend to enjoy artists and not just, people that draw, performers, musicians, because that's what I am, and I feel like we can connect a little deeper that way. And again, soft and submissive, someone I can take care of, dote on. Oh, and they have to be okay with a lot of PDA. I'm not shy about that at all. And of course, cuddlers. You have to be okay with cuddling, otherwise it's not going to work. And if I had a wish, I'm going to be terribly boring. I'd say financial stability, so that I can do more of what I love, devote more time to the things that I enjoy making. And I know that it's a saying, money can't buy you happiness, but it can make things a hell of a lot easier. And in terms of an upload schedule, I don't really have one. I tried. I have a notebook full of dates where I try to schedule things, but because of how unpredictable my work schedule is, it's hard to do that. So I kind of have to work on these things when I can. I want to become more frequent. I do so appreciate you all waiting for me though. And asking if I've wrote any of my own scripts, my dear. I rarely do fills on this channel. Unless it says written by someone else, I'm the writer. And my most emotional one would have to be the piano dummy mommy video. Just hurting someone like that. Having to go to that place of being that vulnerable. And then deciding to let the listener in, even though it's terrifying. That was definitely a lot, and I had to step away for a moment. The Yandere self-harm one was also pretty difficult to record as well, but because that wasn't really the focal point of it, it was more of a, okay, this is hurting pretty deep, but we'll move on from this and focus on taking care of her rather than that act itself. I'd still have to say the most emotional one has to be the piano one. I'm glad I'm curing your insomnia. Can you cure mine? So that was the last question, but I just like to pop this one in here anyway, because it was so sweet of you to wish me a Merry Christmas, as well as anybody else that might see this, because I don't want you to miss out on these internet head pats that Pole Black over here is so generously offering. It is a late Christmas, but to be fair, I set the close of these questions to be after Christmas, but Merry late Christmas regardless. Thank you all so much for almost 17K. We might have already hit it by the time I upload this. I appreciate you all so much. Your support means everything, and the fact that you're willing to wait means the absolute world to me, because I know I've been so busy. I am so excited for the future. Take care of yourselves. Remember that you are all valid and loved. And if you ever need a safe space to just forget things for a while, if you ever just want to be cuddled and held, my channel's right here. I'm right here. See you in the next audio.